Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, episode 6.
Take 2.
A little bit.
Just a couple minutes.
See, that's the fun thing with this, and I've talked to other people too. It's just like, the hell with it, just roll with it. Like, it is what it is, but you're kind of just seeing, if anybody's viewing, audio is not necessarily as big of a deal, but if anybody's viewing, just kind of like the evolution of it, trying to figure things out. And it's teaching me a fair bit, which is great from the videography side of things, especially because I can run a camera pretty well, but the studio setting is just completely different.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like typically just,
There's no natural lighting in here.
well, not even the natural light, but like I'm just normally like when I'm outside, I'm just dealing with whatever I can get.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I have to create some, like I have some handheld lights and they're using headlamps and stuff like that. So like the last episode that we recorded, like I was overcooked. Because I was using a new light and trying to figure that out, and then there's nobody behind the scenes that's checking cameras and adjusting things and making things, you know what I mean? So it's like trying to view things on that way, and then like we position the light right in the middle, but we have low ceilings, so it's not really like a top down, so it was like overcooked in the TV, and I wanted to overlay our logo on it. It was like, just looked bad. But it's one of those things of just like, you know what, hey, we're rolling with it. We're just going to continue to do it. We have curveballs, and, luckily I'm pretty decent at hitting them. So, but yeah, previous to our little interruption and kind of restarting.
Yeah, let's just restart.
Yeah, we were kind of recapping what we did on the weekend. And again, we're kind of running mad. And
Yep, plans change.
yep, yeah, they changed from what our original intentions were. And you were kind of just off and enjoying ice fishing again, and I was working.
Yes. Thank you for working on your birthday weekend.
Yeah, it was a cool experience, and it was kind of thanks to you, and it's been a conversation that we've been having a little bit. It was something that you mentioned to me weeks ago, if not a month
months
or
ago.
a couple months ago, that you have a client that works for one of the local tribes, the Mole Lake, Chippewa, Sakaugan, and their community was hosting a kids camp. It was like the snowed in or deep snow fishing camp. And traditionally for them, during the winter, they spear.
Yes.
And it was held on Pelican, so their target was muskie.
Yep.
I think they got one northern out of it, which is pretty decent. But it was open to the public. There was several different members of the public that were there, and it was also open to other tribal communities to come in.
Yeah.
So I think there were 3 or 4 that were represented. And it was just overall a really cool experience. I was just there to kind of document the weekend, take photos, take videos, and then kind of have the creative freedom of what I want to do with it.
Which was really nice, I think, because they didn't have
Well, they're kind of set on like kind of a documentary style, vibe of, kind of showing off the traditions and, making sure the kids are involved and, getting the cool, setting up and, so I have plenty of ideas, but it's like, do I go longer form like short film? Do I break it down into like several little mini films, like minute and a half, so that they feel like they have more that they can push out? Or do they just want something to recap the entire weekend all in one? So I'm like a little bit torn. Where I feel like, I don't know, to me I almost feel like maybe going into it and some of the conversation I had, I feel like maybe several pieces would be beneficial to them.
that's what I'm leaning towards, is giving them a little bit more.
But I feel like having, I think a shorter film almost would be a little bit better. When I consider everything that I filmed, I consider the 2 days, I consider going back to the community center, and they had a nice dinner, and the activities they were doing there, they were doing decoy carving, they had, their group was playing drums, and they cleaned fish, and so it's kind of like, I feel like there's to kind of just intermingle everything. And then like a story I was hoping to fulfill the first day never happened, and it finally did on Sunday, where a kid got his first muskie. And he was super involved throughout the whole weekend. So I got like cool shots of him carving and stuff on Saturday. And it's like,
Mm.
I feel like it would almost be better to just, you got that conclusion.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? The kid got his first one, and like, um, and I think he was more local, but the the elder that actually took him like under his wing was actually from um, Lac de Flambeau.
Okay.
So it was cool to still see that like that intermingle between communities, but like willingly taking a kid from a different community under their wing. That you can kind of see the relationships that the surrounding communities do have.
Oh yeah.
And even the banter and stuff that they had back and forth was super cool. And the one said they don't necessarily joke and banter within their community between elders, but he said outside the community we're hard on each other.
Hmm.
So it was kind of
That's
cool. Just
interesting.
yeah, so like they were giving each other a hard time and stuff, and even though it was like the Mole Lake Chippewa was putting it on, I remember like Saturday, an elder from I wonder if he was local or not. I'm not entirely sure. I should show you. Maybe you would recognize him. Um, like basically, I have like a minute and a half clip of him talking in like their native tongue,
Oh yeah.
which is super cool. Of just like thanking everybody and what it's about and the traditions and passing things down and thanking their gods and everything that way. And then he like translated it over into what he said in English as well. So like, um, super cool there. I mean, I'm gonna have a lot of like honestly, I could probably just utilize their drum music like live that was
I
there.
think you
That would
should. Yeah.
be really cool to incorporate, and obviously some really cool shots of that. And um, it was also really cool. You could see the generation age gap within the circle.
Hmm.
So there were a couple kids that really, I mean, they were probably still in high school that were playing. And then even at the community center, like a little kid,
Mm.
probably like maybe 8-ish,
Mm-hmm.
came up, and like the one kid like took his hand and was like helping him out, like
Oh,
to stay on beat and stay on rhythm, and you know what I mean. So it was like really cool that they willingly and are definitely like they want people involved,
that's good.
um, which was just super cool. And and I think to try to tell that story for them is important to kind of get that out there as well, because people do gawk at it,
Mm-hmm.
especially locally. That there's the communities that go around and they're spearing the fish and doing that kind of thing, but it is like truly their way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because like on Sunday there, I went and reconnected with actually that one elder that ended up helping the kid get his first on Sunday there. I ended up bumping into them, and they were super kind and gracious and allowed me into their shack and stuff to kind of consume that side of things a little bit and how they're set up, and to kind of view it from that angle and get those kind of shots. But then Sunday, I reconnected and just to see how their morning and stuff was going, because I kind of floated around. I started on the north end of the lake, so I spoke to an elder on the community center, and that end of the lake was like really blowing in
Mm.
on the shoreline, so it was like looked a little bit tough to get out there, and I'm like, I don't want to get my truck buried, because there was like 2 feet of ice, which
Mm.
was great. So like I had a mobile office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My truck was destroyed at the end of the weekend, but like to be able to run around the lake
Oh,
and
that
do that
makes
kind of
it.
stuff was really nice. But
Mm-hmm.
so by the time I got over there, they were just getting set up. But then she had she told me that her other son had come out and they were setting up a traditional shack. So I ran over there and they were just setting up. And it's not what you think. There's obviously plenty of traditional shacks. I mean, I'm sure they have the more like larger hut style, that's fur and like their leather work and stuff that way, but they actually lay on their stomach. And it just covers, like they're able to get their arms, and it like probably just goes over their shoulders. And it's just a small little hut. Like the hole was maybe a foot wide, a foot and a half wide, and then whatever like the width of an ice auger is, like deep.
That's it. It's not this big.
Really little, and even the spear they were using is half as many prongs and probably only like a foot, 18, 20 inches long, maybe a little bit more, maybe a couple feet at most. So it's very conspicuous. And I had asked that question of just, they do tend to feel like that, them bigger holes and much more light and stuff casting through that they can get a little bit more spooky. So traditionally that's what they did. And they covered themselves up and even like traditionally like in the dead middle of winter they're laying on their stomachs and they have their rugs and different stuff laid down and draped on the ice and then they cover themselves up and they just lay there. But just imagine like face at the hole,
That's so cool.
a big muskie coming up on that decoy. You know what I mean? And spearing it that way was, so I got some really cool shots and stuff of that. And
Yeah, I think if people go into those weekends with an open mind, it's so interesting.
just to see how involved the kids are and how eager the elders and, you like the generations being things being handed down and how willing they are to teach and like how important it is to them that they do pass those things on.
Yeah.
Because even talking to the one that was sent up the traditional hut, he's got really good memories of doing those activities with his grandparents. And I didn't like ask any details or anything, but like his grandparents might be gone.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that might be something that he learned from his grandfather and and thinks thought it was the coolest thing ever probably and wants
Trying
to
to
continue.
keep it going.
When he was probably, high school,
Right.
16, 17, I would think, maybe 18. So they were younger but it was, and obviously super kind for them to reach out to me and do it, to be able to do that and being local and there were some familiar faces and then you start talking to some people and it's like, oh, okay, I know who you are. You kind of get that, always get those things, especially within the local community. But, yeah, I mean, I'll have a bunch of cool stuff coming with that. I got a lot of really cool photos and, I don't know. It's a good opportunity. And I think if I nail it, there's more to come.
That's what I was just going to say. I think you'll do great,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think it'll open some doors to you filming more of that style for them.
Yeah. And it's just, just sitting here thinking of just like, it'd be some cool like overlays. I feel like that I could do even like portraying some of if I can find some like cool stock footage of some like black and white vibes.
We need to reach out to them. I'm pretty sure they have stuff. That would be very, very cool to see old film of the grandfather and then, potentially him getting his.
Yeah, I could reach out to Maya and just see if that's something that they have and if they'd be willing to share.
I'm sure they would.
I feel like even if it was just specifically like ice fishing stuff
Oh, yeah.
or like involving some kids or something, like if they
I'm sure they have older footage.
If they wanted to be picky about it, it'd be just some really cool opportunities to really tell that story of just passing things on and that lineage and the traditions but yeah, it was a all day Saturday thing and then the majority of the day Sunday.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was really nice. Everybody was super kind.
Good.
Even like they cleaned all the fish and then Sunday they had the fish. Like they had a big fish fry and like first time trying
I was
muskie.
just going to say, tell us about trying muskie.
You wouldn't know the difference. You really wouldn't.
I would think super fishy, super tough. That's what I envision.
Nope, it was, I don't know what word necessarily to use for it. You know how like, I think walleye is almost like that. It's kind of flaky. Where this was a little bit more like tender.
Did
You know,
they bread it?
yeah, everything was breaded the same. So they had some perch and crappie also. That was super good. Like the breading was really good. I should have looked to see what it was exactly, but yeah, it was good. I mean, of course, with any fish, I feel like you're gonna every now and then get a bite that's a little bit fishy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter 'Cause there was a couple that was like, ooh, there's a little fishy flavor, but other than that, like, really good. Like, just kind of, meatier, tender kind of chunks. Like, it was, you know, yeah, like almost like that meatier consistency. And it wasn't like flaky.
Mm,
But like good consistency, the flavor of it, like you really wouldn't ever guess.
that's so cool.
So, and like I don't even know if I've ever had northern. There was a northern mixed in there as well, but so who knows? I could have had a bite of that as well. But
I just always pickle that.
and I talked to them about that, and there's people that traditionally do pickle some of the muskie as well. Um, it's a strange fish, and even watching them clean it, like there is a ton of bones.
Mm,
It's like you need to know what you're doing, and they do. They're really good at cleaning that kind of stuff. I mean, watching them, I mean, they had brand new. I mean, they really did well. They went and bought a lot of really new stuff and made sure everybody was well equipped, and so they had some automatic fillet knives, and I mean, just zip zip. I mean, they cleaned a limit of crappies in 20 minutes between three guys,
yeah.
and it was.
Well, and this is something that they do every year, so maybe they'll have you back and you can kind of do a.
So I think this is technically their like second annual, but I feel like it's like their third or fourth year that they've kind of put something on. But this is like the second where they've actually like opened it up and have welcomed people in and actually asked for help and different stuff that way. So
Some local fishing teams I saw posted that they went.
did they? Okay.
Crandon was there.
Okay. So that would make sense then because yeah, that would definitely make sense. I didn't really like ask or anything. I just kind of documented and it was cool to get the different cultures mixing and
Yeah, and I'm trying to think back. I truly don't even remember how me and Maya got on the conversation of your work. I have your flyers in my room at work, but I just don't remember. I don't ever remember how that transpired. I just know that we had talked about what you do, and then she mentioned it months ago that they were doing this fishing thing and would love to have somebody in there, and
yeah. So actually, I
we
talked
just
to
kept discussing it off and on, and here we are.
and I talked to I talked to one gentleman there that actually was one of more help organize and actually running around. So they'd run around with their side by side to just the different locations. They kind of had like a general map of like where the general area of where people were going to be.
Oh,
Broken into groups is kind of how it was laid out. Where they ran around just to make sure, see how things were going. If they needed anything, you need some water, you need some snacks, that kind of thing. And he had told me that generally in the past, like last year, he was in charge of organization, doing all that stuff, but then trying to capture moments as well.
yeah.
So he's like, it was just really difficult. And he's like, I'm really thankful that they actually decided to hire somebody out this time because he's like, it allowed me to just, help out and do what I want to do that way. And
Good.
and he enjoyed it because they had a really nice new Ranger, so he was ripping around on that for the whole weekend. And
Oh, yeah.
and then another, I don't know if you know who she is or not, but she was super sweet and super kind. Her name was Cassandra, and she was kind of the lead
Yep.
of putting everything together. So Maya kind of sent me in her general direction on Saturday there because they were set up at a boat landing for like lunch and everything that way, and that's kind of where base camp was. And got to meet and was introduced to her, and then she kind of just told me what was going on and kind of a game plan to kind of capture the weekend. And
But you kind of had free reign.
yeah, which is, to be honest, is a little bit difficult. Just the fact that like it was so spread out.
Yeah. Like,
It wasn't just like in one little bay where like everybody was together. I mean, anybody who knows Pelican, like it's a pretty good size water,
yeah, it is.
so like to run all over and try to like, and then you're at points like guessing, like, is this, so like you're asking, like, are you part of the camp this weekend?
Yeah.
Can I come get a few shots? I said, okay, and most of them are really, really nice. And I feel like I kind of, at one point kind of, I think realized that it seemed like they must have bought everybody new Eskimo shacks.
Okay.
So I feel like anybody with a red shack
You felt like you could go in and.
was probably with the camp. So I don't know. Overall, it went really good, and now it's just kind of like crunch time to get something together because we leave in a few days for the weekend, and then next week is super short, and it's so.
It's gonna get hectic here.
Which I know we've talked in the past, and I've even talked with some friends, and I had a really long conversation actually with Keegan the other day about it, of just feeling like it's been such a grind. And now, I got some, like this year looks good, like projecting out. And, like I have some clients that are finally like coming around to the idea of, putting me on retainer. And, one's been a very long process of getting to that point. And, we kind of, brushed upon Mike last episode, I believe, the whole real estate side of things and what he's, tapped into, but, hopefully it trends into that direction, and it sounds like it is. But then, like I got, actually after this, I got to get on the road and have a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm hoping that goes good and turns into something. I'm thinking it'll be consistent. I think we can hit it off and it can be somewhat consistent. If not like every month, it'll be several times a year.
For sure. Yeah, I think so.
So that'll be really, really good. But then it's one of those things that's like the floodgates open. And then
All of a sudden.
just like that, they close though. And I think it's a learning experience for me, and a part of it where, to be honest, like I can't stop marketing.
No.
Even when I have plenty of work.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
you know it, but speaking to the people,
Speak. No, we both know. Yeah,
you know,
you
it's
have
like,
to
okay, like
continue.
my next couple months might look really good, and I'm like, okay, more will come. I need to focus on the work now, but it's like I still need to take, if I'm really busy, I need to take a day a week, one every other week or something, and really devote to lining up work 3 months out, 6 months out. You know what I mean? Getting to a point where like my year is pretty well set in stone for the most part. Where like my big projects and month to month, my bills are paid. Here's what I'm projected. Here's what I know I'm going to make every single month. Where in the past, working in the woods, it was just, I'm on the job. Here's how much, so let's say we're going to move into this job and we're going to cut 2,500 cord. Okay, well, I'm averaging about, let's say 300 a week, okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna be there for, let's say 2 months. I'm set for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I don't worry about it until a month out. I say something, like, hey, I think I probably got about a month or so left, and then we just,
Where are we going next?
continue to have those conversations when we narrow down, so that like I don't have a bunch of downtime in between, and it's like, here's what my rate is. If I produce 300 cord a week on average, here's how I'm gonna get paid. So like I know where I'm at.
Yep.
And now it's like getting to a point where even like this project was like the first time I just willingly was like, here's what I want to make. Here's what I think I need to make a day. Here's what people have been telling me
To charge?
since August. Like I talked to Joel at Game Fair, and he's like, here's what you need to be charging for a minimum. And I've talked to several people that all charge about that much money. And I'm like, I just need to do it. And not a problem.
Yeah.
And now
That's
it's
amazing.
like, you kind of get that weight lifted off your shoulders a little bit, because it's like,
And it gives you a little bit of confidence to charge that in the future.
100%. And then also, and it's kind of, there's them, there's those conversations of like, should you do some free work? Should you do some cheap work and stuff? And absolutely. And it's unfortunate because people want to jump into something new and think that they can immediately hit the waves and run off and everybody's going to be giving you work. And it's like, that's not how it works. Especially something like this, when it's starting to get to an oversaturated
It is.
market, so I'm starting to get a little bit more optimistic. I have plenty of work for the next couple weeks, and I have some people I need to touch base with and reach out to kind of rekindle some conversations we had earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I got a gentleman out in actually that Hayward area.
Oh, yeah.
Clam Lake. He's got a real estate company, and I put together a video header for his new website earlier in the year. And he wants it to be seasonal, and he wants it to kind of consume what their local area has to offer. So, ice fishing, snowmobiling. They have a big cross-country skiing complex over there. Some of the local shots of the town, stuff like that, some scenics. And there wasn't an opportunity to do that because we didn't have snow.
Now we do.
So I need to reach out to him and see what their snow situation is, and if there's something, if that's something he wants me to do, or if he's okay with what he has, and we plan
Sarah
to.
said they got over 2 inches yesterday, so
Okay.
there might be a fresh layer there, but
Yeah, so I need to just reach out and just see if that's something he would like me to do, or if he's content with what I did put together. Because even what I was able to put together with the stock footage that I have, access to, turned out really well.
oh yeah,
It fits the vibe and energy that he was looking for, and he was super pleased and happy with
good,
it. And honestly, from a business side of things, like, it was really cheap for him too,
good.
because it saved the day rates of me coming over and filming.
Yeah,
Like I told him, I'm like, I feel like in order to capture what you're looking like, a couple days would be nice. One, to go to like the ski complex and like try to put a model call out there to have a couple people that I can, or at least one that, like, hey, just be patient with me, and we're gonna do some shots. I'm gonna follow you around with the drone. I want to get you putting your skis on, get some cool shots that way, like you coming at me, going away, like the whole thing. Hopefully get some people that'll do some some snowshoeing stuff. And then he mentioned some ice fishing. So it's like, well, that's kind of easy. Like, you could just go fly the drone over a lake that people are fishing on, and we have plenty of fishing footage
or
too.
follow your wife around for
Well,
a
that's
little
what
bit.
we have that, and now I have a ton, honestly,
Yeah,
from this past weekend, of some really cool aerial stuff.
gonna have a lot more coming up.
Yeah, and then and then he wanted some like local town stuff. He said they got a really cool local pizza joint that does like wood fire brick oven
Oh
pizza,
yeah,
and he thought about like going in and kind of showcasing that. So I'll have to reach out and just see, because that's like would be super cool, and also like one of those things of like, okay, I'm there to work for him, but I can put a bug in the ear of like the ski complex. I can put a bug in the ear with the pizza place of like, hey, you guys into some marketing? Like, I'm here for Scott, but if you guys want anything specific,
let me
because
know
then I could cheapen up Scott's day rate, include something for them as well,
for sure.
kind of divide that in half, but I'm making more money at the end of the day.
I know.
But for each client, it's not as much.
Yeah,
Or
makes more sense for them.
or you just start to build that connection. You shoot some of that content, and you shoot some additional photos and stuff,
Yeah.
because it doesn't really take as much time. And you send it off to them for nothing.
Yeah.
And hey,
I
I was
took some
here,
photos.
took some photos for you guys. If you need anything in the future. So,
So,
tell me about ice fishing, because that is all you did the entire weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
it was great. I didn't have to try very hard, but I convinced my mom to come with me.
Which was super cool, because I know, like, you talked to her earlier in the weekend. She's like, finally, I have, like, a weekend to myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I kept asking, like, how was your mom?
I know, you
And I'm
kept
like,
asking it.
yeah, because I was like, was she actually, like,
So, a little bit of a backstory. My mom is a big fisherman.
woman,
Big,
fisherwoman?
she's a fisherman. Just like I'm not a huntress. She's
There
a
you go.
fisherman. But she's really, really big into her kayak fishing. So,
Hashtag influencer. Isn't that what all they say now? Huntress? I'm a huntress.
that, let's not go there. So my mom fishes a ton out of her kayak in the summer. She loves her pan fishing. She loves her fly fishing
She's like, yeah,
by herself.
well, by herself, but she's like the fish that she catches, like, holy shit.
And
You should have a house full.
she should have a house full of big fish.
Like the bluegills she catches and the crappies, and then all of a sudden she's on the river and she's catching these giant trout, and it's like that you can catch a trout like that.
And
around
you
here?
cleaned that? What are you thinking, lady? So, yeah, she fishes a lot. She does really, really well. She's got her spots that she loves to get her kayak in and go, and she fly fishes a lot. So she doesn't do a ton of ice fishing. I remember growing up, she would come with, and she's gone, probably a handful of times with us in the last few years, but I just said, like, do you think you want to go fishing? And she's like, at first she was like, she's struggling with some neck pain and stuff, and she's like, I just think I want to stay home and chill and relax and whatever. And I just asked her again, I'm like, are you sure you don't want to come fishing with me? I think it was Friday night after work, your birthday, we went out and ended up having all family there, and caught some crappie and some little perch and whatever. And so I was just going to go back there just for Avery and to try to catch some. And talked to my Uncle Lee, and he told me to go to the other side of the lake. So we were like, okay, well, let's go give it a shot. So me and Mom drove out there, kind of checked depth, and set up the shack and had a blast with perch. And then we went back there on Sunday again. And me and Mom just love that underwater camera. So does Avery, of course. You can see everything. And as much as it pisses you off because the fish are just staring at it, it does keep the day really interesting and fun. But again, I was just going to go back to the tip downs. Like, I sat by that tip down and I couldn't even get the minnow all the way to the bottom, and I was catching other perch. I did it like 4 or 5 times in a row, and I went back there multiple times, and I'm just like, okay, Mom, they want minnows. So then we went back in the shack with minnows, and then it was game on. Then it was a lot of fun once we figured out, we tried all the different size and color jigs and grubs or plastics. We tried it all, and finally we realized they wanted a little jig with a minnow, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game, is trying to figure them out.
Yeah, I mean, they were there. We were on them. And of course, I can't stop thinking about that big pike. I don't understand how I didn't get hooks in that thing. I don't get it. He smacked it twice.
So,
like, full on busted through that thing.
I feel like that's a part of the problem when you're viewing through a camera.
Okay, but I felt it.
Did you? Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
He thumped it. I mean, there was even the second time that he hit it, I wasn't watching the camera. I felt him like, boom. Jimmy can put hooks in them.
Yeah, well.
What the hell, Jimmy?
He was probably fishing with a bigger rip and wrap or something that had a decent, like, if you were catching perch.
He was trying for walleye.
Yeah, but if you were catching perch.
Okay, here's the story. Let's back up.
Like, what I'm getting at is, if you were catching perch on that same jig.
I wasn't.
Oh,
That's my
okay.
story.
Okay.
So my story is, I saw the pike right away when we got there. He was on camera, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to set up another pole with specific for him. I'm like, if he comes back in, drop this down, and let's see if we can get him. Put a minnow on it, see what happens. So he comes back in. I go to grab that rod, and it's hooked to the shack. Okay? Can't get it out. This is like the pike and the walleye are down there together. This will catch either of them, and it's hooked to the shack. I'm like, Lord help me. So I'm like, fuck it. I like threw it, like it was still hooked to the shack, run out, grab the rod off my finicky fooler, run back into the shack and put it down. So that's why I have this rod, is because I went and grabbed the one off the finicky fooler. So it's set up. It's all ready. It's got the big red treble on it. It's got the minnow on it. So you're going to get a grasp of how crazy I am, or how much I enjoy this. So at first I was like, Avery, grab me a big minnow. She hands me a little fathead. I'm like, fuck. Okay. Sorry, I got to calm down.
It's okay.
What did Dad say to you when we got married? Like, you're not going to find anyone that's more excited to catch fish or something stupid like that. But
I don't know, that day was a blur.
back to my story. She hands me a little fathead. I'm like, ugh. So I just put it down, and he doesn't care. They don't want anything to do with it. Don't even look at it. I'm like, Avery, grab me a big one, the biggest minnow in there. So she grabs me a Rosie. I'm like, okay. So I grab it, and I grab a big shiner, and the second that shiner gets in his view, he smacks it. And I set the hook, I roll him, I see it on the camera, roll him, nothing, missed. I'm like, I was literally like on the floor of the shack crying. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, give me another one. Give me another big minnow like the one Mom just had. So she hands me one. I put it back down, and I'm like, he's gone. He's not going to bite again. He just got my minnow. I'm like, he's full. No quicker than I say that, he smacks it again. I set the hook. I roll him on the camera. Got my minnow. Nothing. Never saw him again.
Did you sharpen your hooks?
Do I have to?
All the musky guys would say you have to.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that will haunt me. I dreamt about it. I did. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand how I didn't get hooks in that thing. But then I'm like, okay, on tip-ups, they have time to like inhale a few times, swim away. I didn't give him that opportunity.
Yeah, and I feel like that might be inappropriate.
And me and Mom,
I know they talk about that a lot, especially like bass and stuff. You gotta let, like, you're gonna feel them inhale it and then
Yes.
set the hook. Like
Yes.
you gotta
I should have
pause.
waited. And after the first time, me and Mom said that. Like, the next time he hits it, give it a second, make sure he's got it, and then set the hook.
Never came back.
Instincts. No, on my second one, I felt him smack it, and I was just like, "Wah!"
Fold it away.
And I'm like, shit, I should have waited. So anyway, that's my story. Made me sad. I get so sad. I'm not very good at this sometimes.
Oh, that's funny.
And why did he not hit? I had a tip up 6 feet away from our shack. I'm like, why do you not go hit that shiner?
Probably dead. Or something.
No, I checked it like 3 times. It was very lively. So I don't know why he didn't go hit that one. He came from that direction. Maybe it was because I was jigging it a little bit.
Yeah, that little bit of movement.
So I just kept going and like picking up my tip up and setting it back down. I'm like, come eat this one. But he was full after that, I'm sure.
Was it a decent fish?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That was a nice walleye. It had a nice belly on it, and that pike was huge compared to it.
I mean, there's some big muskie out there too.
Those, either one would have been a really nice fish. It was maybe more common, but I thought it was weird that they came in together. They were swimming together. They weren't just like
Strange.
coming from different. They were literally side by side coming in.
Gonna fight over whatever they're chasing or something. That's strange.
But that walleye didn't stick around. That pike, when he saw that shiner, he did. But that walleye just kept going.
Yeah.
Which I thought he would want it to, but I don't know.
Yeah, but that big shiner might be a little bit overkill. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange, but I mean, if there was perch around, I mean, they'll both eat perch. I don't know. It's a game of cat and mouse. What do you do? Because you know. Like,
So the pole that was hooked to the shack was Jimmy's favorite bait. And I was like, this can catch either one. I know it. Jimmy said so. And it was hooked to the shack. Never even got to put it down.
Oh, nice. Did you get it out of the shack?
Oh, yeah, eventually.
Oh, okay.
I struggled with it for 20 minutes, and Mom grabbed it for 30 seconds and had it out.
She's a true pro.
Yeah. So it was a great time. It was a lot of fun. It was really good for Avery. The first day, Saturday, was freaking cold. The wind was so cold. We did not even want to step out of that shack. So she spent a lot of time in the shack and in the car with us. It was way too cold to do anything else. And then Sunday, it was so nice. She's doing snow angels and running around with you for a little bit while you stopped and playing in the snow.
On the way back through, I swung out there, but Saturday was not nice.
It was brutal.
It wasn't terrible up until lunch on Pelican. And then the snow rolled in the afternoon, and the wind picked up. I got some really cool footage, though, of, like, the snow blowing and stuff that way. Like, some really cool, like, cinematic, like, you can see the wind gusting the snow and, like, flying my drone and stuff around. But, like, even put my drone out there, like, it's just going crazy. High wind warning, high wind warning. And it's like, yeah, I know.
I know, I'm aware.
Risk it for the biscuit, so.
Yeah, Saturday picking up, I truly thought I was going to have frostbite on my fingers. They were blue and so painful. Just 10 minutes or whatever it took me to pick up.
Yeah, you should have just drove the vehicle around each hole to block the wind.
Well, I mean, I wasn't that far, but man, it was cold.
Oh, now you know.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, yeah, so Friday was my birthday, and I worked most of the day. I don't ever...
Avery got to stay home with you?
Oh, that's right. Yep. And then I was consumed in work and trying to get stuff done. What was I actually had to deliver a project, so I had to do that too, and got that out and everything that way. But I need to reach out about that because I didn't hear anything. But, yeah, and then I met you at the lake, and we went and did fishing, and your dad was supposed to be there, but wasn't. And, I mean, he was when I got there, and then he left right away. And then Gar was up. Stefan was up a little bit.
Yeah.
He left not long after that, but so got to hang around with them a little bit, and I don't know. I just didn't really do much, I guess. I just was just trying to disconnect and didn't feel like nobody was really catching much. So everything that you guys were pulling up was pretty small until like right at dark.
My brother was having luck on the tip downs.
Yeah, John was out there and was having luck on tip downs, which was kind of fun to run around and just kind of watch. But I don't know. That's a struggle that I've talked about before of just trying to disconnect. And You know what I mean? And feeling the stress of lately of not feeling like I have a ton of work, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The financial obligations of life, like you need to be making money, and if you're not working, you're not making money, and if you're not making money, you're going backwards, kind of a thing. And it's just like,
For me, I think it's easier to disconnect because I'm like, I'm not gonna work in the evenings anyway.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And like this week, I mean, I'm still on the computer at 7 o'clock, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, it's a lot later than I thought it was, and so I don't know. I need to get into a better routine or a better schedule of that, because when you guys are home, I need to disconnect, but it's also like that pressure of like I have so much work to try to get done, and
yeah.
realizing I don't have a lot of time, and like I don't want to go this weekend and be stressed about work.
No.
I'd rather take photos and have fun that way and actually catch fish and joke around, and you know what I mean, have a good time. And especially going down to Nashville, it's gonna kind of be a work trip, but like to actually consume it and enjoy it, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like connect and have good conversations and stuff that way, and not be stressed about work.
Yeah.
I know I'll have an opportunity that we can trade off driving,
Oh, yeah, I'll drive.
that, for a portion of it, I can just have the laptop in my lap and get some work done. Speaking of that, just because I just finally remembered, I don't know, I'll have to touch base, but I think Keegan's going to give us a bag to bring back
What bag?
from Nashville. Because he's flying
Oh, like his bag?
from Vegas, and he's got so much shit that he doesn't need. And he's like, what do I do with it? So he's
I thought
thinking
this was like a product bag. No, like it's his bag, huh?
of like shit,
Okay.
of gear and stuff.
Got
So,
it. Makes sense. We're not that far from his
yeah, and
home base.
I don't know if he'll want us to swing by and drop it off at the house, or just keep it, and when we're here, when he's back, we'll just connect.
Come sleep in our office chair again.
Yeah, yeah. I don't, knowing that guy, he didn't even probably sleep. I actually joked with him. I'm like, because he called me, and it was actually Friday, my birthday. I'm like, oh, he's gonna wish me a happy birthday, and he didn't. That asshole.
He probably didn't know.
No, he didn't. And he's busy, and I didn't say anything about it. I'm not that kind of a person being like, hey, it's my birthday, tell me happy birthday. So we just,
By the way, buddy.
yeah, so we just chat. I'm like, well, where the hell are you? And he's like, oh, I'm in Dallas at a convention, or at a trade show. I'm like, oh, okay, yep, that's Keegan's World for the next couple months. And I was just like joking around. I'm like, we just should do a segment on the show of like call Keegan and like, where's Waldo? Where's Keegan? Because like you literally never know.
No.
Like I'll call him and he'll be up in Alaska all of a sudden. I'm like, what the hell are you like?
How'd you get there so
Yeah,
fast?
so he's just a nomad. He's running all over the place, and but yeah, I mean, so he said he's just got so much stuff, and he's kind of not necessarily living out of his truck like normal. Like he's actually hopping on planes and stuff now, and obviously having a ton of gear in one location is hard when
Yeah.
you don't need it. And it's like, okay, if I'm just using a plane for right now because my clients are paying my way, or whatever, being like I have that much work, and it's just
Try
quicker
to limit the bags.
So he was in Dallas. He was going to go back to Nashville, and then I think he said he had to go to South Carolina for a shoot, or North Carolina. And then he said if he was going to get back to Vegas, he would pack an extra bag to bring to Nashville to give to us, just to limit some of the stuff that he's got out in Vegas.
Yeah.
So, because he's working on some really cool stuff out there. I'm excited to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
And then, so he said just if we have extra room.
Oh, we
and I'm
will.
like, we'll have plenty, because
Yeah.
he wanted to know what vehicle we were going to take, and we'll probably take yours.
Yeah. That's why
Better.
we're getting it done tomorrow.
Better gas, and not that really matters, but I don't know. It'll just be a little bit nicer to have everything,
Yeah.
because I love my truck, but I need to be better set up, and I'm hoping that there'll be some companies down there that I can talk to. I need to get a nice topper for my truck.
Yeah.
I've never been a topper guy, just
Until
honestly, from like a physical appearance standpoint. I just don't like the looks of a lot of them. And now there's plenty of companies coming out there that have aluminum ones. So I need to speak with some companies. There's a couple out there that I really like the looks of. And I think there's some opportunities to work with some of those companies of just in exchange for some content.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, we have an exciting weekend to look forward to.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be super nice to, again, connect with more people.
Yes.
And I'm just looking forward to, honestly, just being able to disconnect a little bit and
Have some fun.
Yeah, and it'll have that similar vibe of like us going down to Bago, and I didn't necessarily stress about work and like being able to actually fish and have some fun, and the weather should be nicer, I believe.
I didn't even look.
I know the nights are supposed to get cold, so like the mornings might be a little bit cold, but I think the highs are supposed to be pretty decent.
We're just going to fish Saturday and come home.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of a Saturday deal, but just a quick little trip, which is great. Be nice for us to just get away and disconnect because, we didn't, not that I really care, but like we didn't really do anything for my birthday, but we're kind of pushing it off to kind of consume that for, honestly, yours and mine for Nashville.
Yeah.
Just to have a little bit of a celebration on that front, and there'll be some cool opportunities down there. I'm sure that in the world of trade shows, a lot of these companies always put on like little after parties, and
Oh, yeah.
so we'll definitely keep our ears open, and I have some pretty good connections, so I think on that front that we should be able to have some fun and go out and associate and mingle with people, and
Well, and I want to see downtown Nashville. If I'm there, we have to go.
yeah, and I don't know where a lot of these like little after parties and stuff are, but we should have plenty of time
Yeah.
because honestly we kind of screwed up our days where we were going down Thursday to Sunday was our plan, right? We were going to drive down Thursday,
Yeah.
show Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come back when the show actually starts Thursday. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I'm a dumbass. I did not know.
No.
I mean, how common is that? Is this common practice that I do not know about?
Well, that was like part of the conversation with Keegan that I had too. Is they technically like if you look on there, they technically like say it starts like Tuesday.
There's other stuff.
Where it's just like the industry professionals have some like stuff that comes in, and I know I've had conversations kind of like that's what iCast is as well, of like brands have the opportunity to kind of mingle and talk about like some budgets and like plans and trying to collaborate and do that kind of stuff with, and I feel like NWTF is an opportunity for a lot of the industry professionals and like top guys within these companies that are like going to be there in face, that they can actually cross paths and have some of them business kind of conversations and that,
Yeah.
to where I don't know what the whole like behind the scene is. Like they have some banquets and they have like some charity events and different things that way, and then obviously companies to come in and set up as well because it's big. So
I was originally going to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I think when you talked to George is when we put the pieces together that we're like, oh shit, it starts Thursday. We have to leave Wednesday.
yeah, and
I had to move clients around, figure out Avery.
we gotta nail that down for sure, but I'll have to touch base with George to see what day he would like us in the booth.
Yeah.
My feeling is he's probably gonna want us there Friday.
Whatever works.
So maybe we'd have like Thursday, Saturday to kind of bum around, and even whatever day he wants us in the booth. I don't know if it'll be necessarily a full day deal, because I don't know if it's like Delta. It takes a little bit for things to fill up, and then it kind of tapers off. People want to beat the rush and the traffic and stuff, and then, so like the first couple hours are a little bit slower, and the last little bit is as well. But I feel like this is not gonna be like that. I think it's gonna be a waiting line and everything, but we'll be able to kind of sneak in a side door or something because we got passes already.
Yeah.
And
So this weekend.
so we're gonna have to meet up with George right away Thursday.
Yeah.
So we can get our
to.
passes. And I should reach out to see because obviously our Airbnb is only for Friday through Sunday, right?
Thursday.
Or Thursday through Sunday. So we might have to find a hotel, which is fine too. I mean, we could, depending on what time we can get out of here and what time we get down there, like maybe we consume middle of the week, consume a little of that downtown first day.
Maybe.
Find a place to just stay downtown, get a bite to eat, and consume some music and stuff that way if we wanted to, with it being maybe a little bit less hectic, with it being a Wednesday. I don't know.
Who knows? I think
mean,
I think
what
it's
do they say?
always busy.
Yeah, Nashville's like, what do they say, like the redneck Vegas or something? So it's probably busy every day of the week, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it, though.
These next couple of weeks are going to be wham bam. I mean,
They're going to fly.
Friday we're headed over by Sarah. We'll get home Sunday. We have Monday, Tuesday of work, and
We'll be home late Saturday, but
right.
probably get Avery Sunday, depending on what time we get back.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. But yeah, then it's going to be I'm going to have to work because I have a real estate shoot Thursday as well. Which he's asking for quite a bit.
This Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
So you, okay.
Yeah.
You have a meeting today, my car
today, I have to
tomorrow.
run the Andigo with your car tomorrow, then a real estate shoot Thursday. So it's like, where do I find time to edit?
All night.
Gritting my teeth. So, honestly, I'm like starting to consider like just doing that. Like I need to. It's strange. I hate it because my life has changed a lot in the last year. That I finally feel like I'm like catching up on sleep from the previous 10 years. Where like I'm sleeping until 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
Where
You used to be up before 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Well, because sometimes I'm on the road for an hour and a half.
I know. You.
It's like, okay, if I'm on the road for an hour and a half, like I need to get up early so that I can,
You can be there before the trucks.
well, be there for the trucks so that if they have any problems, but also like I can put in a 10-hour day.
I know.
Because then
If
like
you show up at 10 o'clock.
when Fridays roll around, like I can go up for half a day and like my week's production is already met.
Yep.
Or like if I bust ass Monday through Thursday and I meet my production goal, like I could take an extra day every now and then. You know, to where like when I was close to home, I took that as a little bit more of an opportunity to stay around with you in the morning.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if I only had a 15, 20 half-hour drive, like not that big of a deal.
Right.
It wasn't a big deal for me to then kind of change my schedule a little bit to like, okay, I'm going to go work like a half a day Saturday if I needed to, you know, or a full day, or if we have nothing going on, like just go get extra production.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think, I know that, you know, just for the people, like you had your own business in logging and you could set your own hours, but I feel like now it's a different extreme. Like now you have your entire day to say, okay, what's priority first? When am I going to get to the gym? When am I going to edit this? When am I going to call this? Like you really have to find a way to be structured now. Otherwise your days are just
And
mush.
yeah, and if I don't, like, again, circling way back to that intentional focus.
Like make notes. This is my post-it
Because
note for the day.
it's tough. It's like, okay, right now I just finalized or finished a shoot, and I feel like that needs to be priority. But I still have stuff I need to finish for Mike. But then I also have this shoot Thursday, and
But your wife wants more ice fishing content.
I know, and that's the problem is honestly, like, I haven't posted anything in
You
several
haven't
days
posted
again.
anything.
And it's like, honestly, like last night, I finally sat down and it's like 7:30 or it's like 8 o'clock. If not after that, I think Avery was down and I'm like, I should probably post something. And I look and it's like, is it worth to post something at 9 o'clock at night? It's like, I shouldn't have,
Better than nothing.
I shouldn't have cared, but it's like, I'm thinking of myself last, if at all. So I need to get into that routine too of just, honestly, whether I break it down into Google Calendar or if I have my whiteboard downstairs of just like itemizing my day and just be consistent every single day of where I should be and what I should do.
Yeah.
But then put a reminder in there of a post. And if I don't have anything to post, well, then I need to schedule in a couple days a week where I have like an extra 2 hours or something where I edit for myself. But then it's like, okay, that's not necessarily making me money, quote unquote. So I need to prioritize the stuff that is. So it's easy to push myself off when we're doing a lot of cool stuff. And like, I honestly want to do some really cool stuff with this. We're talking about some really cool things and we're posting clips, which is awesome. But it would be like next level and much more engaging of like, okay, you just talked about all your ice fishing stuff. If there was footage that I could overlay on that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like I just talked about what I did for my ice fishing camp kind of deal, like put some footage together of that. And when I'm talking about it, like interlay and overlay and like do the whole thing there. Of
It
like,
would make the YouTube so much more engaging. People would want to.
I wouldn't do it for that. I wouldn't show any of that. It would the I understand what you mean, but like the editing process of trying to do that for an entire podcast would be absolutely insane. What I mean is like putting reels out and stuff.
Oh.
Of like intro of me and you kind of talking, like doing this, and then like, okay, we cut into you like talking about your fishing, and then like I put like a nice fishing edit.
Oh, I see.
Together, and you know what I mean, some like softer music,
Separate.
but like allowing your voice to kind of tell the story, but then having the visual there of like what you're actually talking about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I thought about that'd be great. Like, and I still can, and when I have the time, I will. But like even when we talked about like Avery's first duck hunt. Like I have all the footage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That would be really cool.
And I also think, to be honest, I think this is kind of pushing me out of my shell a little bit of being that like next level personable. Because I've never been a person to like point the camera in my face.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? I'd rather be behind the camera, not in front of it. But now this is kind of pushing that aside a little bit and forcing each other a little bit into that element naturally by doing this. And it's not really that big of a deal to where I think it'd be cool if we start to do some vlogs and be able to put some like longer form content out on YouTube as well. Because then we could push people to just a devoted, here's what we're talking about. Like, look what we did this weekend.
Yeah.
And it might not be something very consistent, or because it's one of those things, okay, like if we would have just filmed the entire weekend of fishing, you kind of want to get it and put out right away. It's like, where the hell do I have time to like literally edit maybe an entire day just on a YouTube video?
Mm-hmm.
So it's something I'd really like to do and I want to do. And, you know, to just have that opportunity, I think we should just take it and go with it. And it might take, honestly, like getting you your own camera as well, and maybe, you know, a couple different action cams or something, so that we're not constantly feeling like we need to, you know, run big cameras and stuff. But also, I think on that front, because this is kind of an equal split of what we're doing, that I feel like that format should also be. Otherwise, it's like I'm behind the camera and it's just you the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, then it might as well be on your YouTube channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'd be cool, like if I had another Osmo Pocket or
I love that thing.
something that way that like you could have one, and especially like ice fishing, we're kind of at separate holes.
I know.
Set it up on the
I
tripod.
was by myself all weekend, and I'm like, shit, how do I film this? I would really love to film this, but whatever. I just didn't, which is fine.
And I think I would love for you to start to learn the ropes of that, because there's some opportunities. I had somebody reach out about doing a wedding, and I've never really been a person to be like, it's just not really my jam. But from a financial side of things, you can make some damn good money doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would enjoy it.
And that's where I was kind of thinking of like, how can I start to get you to dip your toes into filming and start you off somewhat easy rather than throwing my R5 in your hand and, okay, here's ISO, here's your shutter speed, here's log, here's how you have to adjust your exposure, here's, you know what I mean? Don't overcrank, don't do this, don't do that. And like, it'd be so overwhelming for you that starting you off somewhat simple, like with that Osmo Pocket, which is honestly like insane. The quality, like, so that cool little like ice fishing reel that I did
Was all that.
it was all that. So like the quality is there.
Been really intrigued and curious about it lately. I'm finding myself wishing I had a camera in my hands like pretty often. I just am a little hesitant to jump head first.
So it's with anything, you just need to start.
Yeah, just let me start and let me get curious, and I'll ask questions along the way.
I truly think the only way a person learns is to fuck up. And you're and you need to accept that fact now. And then that's an opportunity to be like, okay, what did I screw up here? And now, like, because if now that's like imprinted into your mind, especially if you screw up a moment, you know what I mean? Or like you had the opportunity for the shot that you were looking for all day long, and you think you got it, and you go in to edit, and it's like, what happened? I didn't get it. So it's like, those are pivotal moments of, now this is an opportunity to, like, it's forcing you to learn.
Yeah.
And I took the quick path to that. And I still make mistakes, and I'm still going to, and I'm still missing shots.
Forever, yeah.
And that's just a part of the process. I think also within that, and also being an editor, it allows me to kind of flex that creative muscle as well. Of, okay, I missed the shot, and I didn't have another opportunity to basically all weekend or the length of the shoot how can I get creative and still portray the, the message or the story that I wanted to?
Mm-hmm.
Finding those back end valleys and alleys and different things to like, how can I navigate the story to be able to, you know, allow the visual consumer to view it as what I want it to be, you know? So there's a, there's definitely an element to, and that's just life. Like you're going to make mistakes and you're going to screw up but, you know, at the end of the day, like there's been crucial moments where I've screwed up and missed a shot, but it's still somewhat of a success because I learned a
Oh yeah.
very valuable lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Just again, it's if it's something that you want to do, like you just need to, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
Ask the questions, be curious, start shooting, and it can be addicting because I've come to a conclusion too of there's moments where I'd rather have a camera in my hand than a gun or a fishing pole or you know what I mean, which is fine because it's enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
Like it's very much so becoming an addiction. And it somewhat always, I mean, it has for a long time of like wanting to do those things, but then it's prioritizing my focus, and having that ability to do a little bit of both and
Yeah.
really consume it. So I don't know. If it's something you want to do, you need to be curious,
Oh, I am.
and you need to ask questions. And there's plenty of people out there, and don't just think that my way is the best way. You're going to have your
No,
own vibe. You're going to have your own energy. You're going to have.
I was going to mention that kind of on that front with this weekend. There's going to be a lot of cameras around, and it would be cool if you guys would sit down and look at settings and how'd you capture that? Or, I mean, I think you guys could have a lot of really good conversations. Just
Yeah,
kind of collaborate on.
everybody's got a different style. Whether it's actually how you're shooting and utilizing your equipment or what you're doing in post. There's people that really compose great and they frame really well, and their lens choices are spot on and everything that way, and they allow that to tell the story and they don't do much editing. And then there's people who don't necessarily focus on that, but then they allow the opportunity to kind of flex that muscle, when editing and really pull that story out that they were looking for.
Yeah.
And then there's people that just nail both,
Yeah, true.
and it's something that's ever evolving. Like I'm constantly tweaking and trying different things and editing, and I've yet to really kind of find my vibe of like, what I'm looking for, how I like to, and I feel like every subject is different as far as that front too.
Yeah, I feel like you're evolving. You're trying to figure out what vibes you like the best and what
Yeah,
styles you like.
like
And
fishing is going to be different than hunting, and people are different than dogs, and ducks are different than you name it. Every bird is different, and like how do you wildlife is dramatically different than and that's just from a photography standpoint, and then you start throwing video in there too, and it's like and video, there's again, like, are you a run and gun action, don't really you don't care about you know having some movement in camera, and you don't care about having some rougher footage, or that way, or are you like shooting on a tripod, or you running with a gimbal, or like there's it's not a one size fits all,
right.
which is where people have that opportunity to really set themselves apart. Like you can really develop your style really quick. Like I love the run and gun. Like I use a gimbal for real estate, and that is it.
Right.
I'm primarily handheld, where I know a lot of guys love tripods. And for me, there's a time and place. And I think honestly, for me, like I kind of have that ability. I actually got that comment of some stuff that I had to put in the past of, were you running with a gimbal the entire time? I'm like, no. Like, holy hell, dude, you got some really smooth footage. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You
It's
know,
good to hear.
so it's just like, to me, utilizing the technology and the capabilities of what we have in today's age.
Yeah.
Right on cue. So, Mama.
Stay tuned. We got a lot of really, really fun stuff coming up. We're going to have to crank out a few episodes so that we don't get behind because life is going to get crazy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. Honestly, I think when we get back from our trip, like we should do one right away.
Before we leave for Nashville.
Well, we have to obviously, so we
Yeah.
have one. But I would like to even, if not, do it depending on when we get back Saturday night or like first thing Sunday. So that I have several days to put it together.
Oh, yeah.
Because then, like, obviously coming back from Nashville, that's gonna be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to put something together there, but I feel like I have so much stuff, and I know like when I have that real estate shoot on Thursday, like he's eager to get stuff right away.
Yeah.
As is real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So, like as soon as I do that, I'm gonna have to at least edit photos, but then he wants a video walkthrough and he wants some virtual staging done. So like, I need to make sure I check all those boxes and, kind of get that done because you never know where that can lead. Like the guy's not from around here and it's just a nice little place in Saint Germain and he's listing it with an agency down by him or whatever he's kind of doing. So, but you never really know. Because I think the vibe I got there is his daughter might have a company or something.
Okay.
So it's like another connection.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost my headphones.
Get it together, Jimmy.
Hello? Jeez. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this weekend and getting over and connecting with Sarah and her husband.
Jay.
So that'll be super nice and gracious that they're allowing us into their home and stuff too that way.
No.
And, kindling more relationships and
Getting to fish with a lot of people.
yeah, I'm excited to actually get to do some of that. And of course we'll shoot some content and I'll take photos and do the whole thing there. But yeah, I actually need to be out of here in a half hour or so-ish, and our kid is yelling. So I should really go get my truck started and warmed up.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll have some good news on this meeting as well.
Yes, I hope so.
So
Fingers crossed and prayers.
I'm not stressed about it at all. I think it'll be great. Just another good opportunity. And even though I love and like my knack is that outdoor hunting, fishing, stuff like that, it's really nice to have that well-paying, consistent clients close to home. Even though it's kind of outside that niche, but then to kind of dip my toes back into the world that I've always known of, construction and logging and all that kind of jazz. But just promoting small businesses and, brand awareness and that whole marketing stuff and how can I elevate your brand and that kind of thing is super appealing. And anybody who's in the same world knows that some of these more commercial style like companies, corporate, I wouldn't even say corporate for this one, but they're much better to work with and higher paying. Because it seems like there's a weird trend within the outdoor industry of the best deal wins, not necessarily the best work all the time. And it seems like the people with the best work are already tied up with the best companies.
Yeah.
So, and that's just the journey that I'm on of just establishing myself and putting out good quality work and trying to get somewhat of like a style out there, something that can appeal to people and can continue to build relationships and stuff. But like, if I can consume enough work close to home and have well-paying clients and consistency here and have some extra free time to do other stuff, like phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Like my bills are paid and now I can go run and do some cheaper work for these guys just because of the experience.
Yeah.
And building connections and networking and doing that kind of stuff. And so I'm excited for that. And, even like we briefly touched on it, like even Mike, he's very well aware of that. Like realizing that I still want to have opportunity for that freelance side of things and to be able to, push and evolve and,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, get myself out there and travel and see and do as much as I can.
Oh, yeah.
Which is super cool. And I appreciate that, and being able to have that conversation with a client that, can understand that.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
So, I don't know. There's a lot of fun and exciting things. Next week is going to be a blast. We're going to reconnect with a lot of people, and I think I'm going to be able to sew up a lot of really good work.
I'm so excited
leading into the year as well, and establish and build connections with people.
I know.
I need to make sure Danny sends those pictures to Federal.
Yes.
He said he was gonna include me in on an email to the guy, but I would assume that he would be down there.
Okay.
So it'd be a cool connection to be like, hopefully he likes the photos, but then also, just to actually meet somebody.
Yeah.
So, but again, I'm excited to bump into Ben and connect and chit chat with him. It was Delta.
I'm so excited. I
saw him at Delta, and that was it. And then obviously Strike
Force was the last time.
Yep. So 8 months.
Excited to see him. There's a lot of people I'm excited to see.
A bunch of photography buddies and a bunch of people that I know are going to be there that I've yet to meet or have a conversation with, but I follow on socials and have interacted with. So that'll be cool to be able to connect with those people and obviously just mingle. For us and you to get an experience to stand in a booth as well.
Yeah.
So on that front, and really consume that kind of a world and kind of dip your toes into it, and you're really starting off extreme. So
it's all right.
But yeah,
roll with the punches.
Steady with jerks.
Is that our closing for the?
I don't know. It just it popped into my head. That's how we kind of wrapped things up last time. But we're pretty consistent within like a few minutes of this time frame.
Yeah.
So
fun.
All right.
All right. Until next time. Love you.